a couple days, layer 0 to the layer 1 blockchain technologies. We are infrastructure as a service. One of the things that ZenLayer does really well, that really aligns with, I believe, the purpose of the four corporate Saga Ps is, and one of the reasons why I came to the company is our specialty is delivering to traditionally challenging places. So we've been able at this point to put about 55 bare metal cloud clusters, infrastructure as a service, and not only some of the kind of traditional major internet exchange points in the world, but also what you would consider emerging markets or really challenging places. And having this infrastructure on which layer 1 blockchains can build their ecosystems is a big part of democratization, is a big part of reaching the unbanked or the unblockchain, Jay, for that new term. So ultimately, ZenLayer can provide on-demand compute network storage in an easy and frictionless way that our traditional enterprise clients, our gaming clients can build on. But my personal interest, especially in the past 2 years with the explosiveness of the blockchain vertical and the ecosystem that's being built around it, is probably one of the most exciting things that we've been working on. And I'm Evan, by the way. I'm a business and sales development manager based in LA for ZenLayer.
Awesome, appreciate that. Thank you. So Santa Monet is Nick Harmon, and we looked after our partnerships and alliances. Clearly, she's going to be taking care of a lot of the conversation we'll be having with these guys going forward. What is it we're looking for in our alliance ecosystem? And obviously, it's not just about the core technology. It's not just about blockchain. When we look at the purpose statements that we just discussed, what does that mean in terms of partners and alliances?
Thank you, Rich. So we're looking for those synergies, right? We're looking for partners who have that purpose and passion and who are looking to build something new in this world. And I think that's what's exciting about Web3 in particular, is that there's so many opportunities to build so many new things, but you can't do it alone. You need partners to do that. And that's why we're not just looking for one type of partner, we're looking for many types of partners to build out an ecosystem so that they can also work with each other and build new things and grow and expand, and the opportunities are immense.
Thank you. So I've got a few things I scribbled down here that we're going to kind of run through. We'll talk about those things, right? Okay, we'll keep this informal. So the first thing on my list was why distributed? As a distributed sort of infrastructure as a service, why is that more important today more than ever before?
That's a good question. So I think today most people actually are using cloud. So cloud is like a traditional IT service. But when you look at cloud today, it's not more than just a monopoly type of cloud. It's multi-cloud. It's also hybrid cloud. There's cloud in the enterprise or cloud between different companies. So that indicates another trend. There's also edge cloud coming in. Edge cloud further distribute out those computing resources now all together to globally different regions. That enables further innovation in the case. That's why we think distributed cloud, edge cloud, or parallel them together with decentralized with blockchains.
One of the things that's clearly been super important to us is the decentralization and the permissionless is super key. We want to make sure that there is no opportunity where you can be said, well, you're controlling the game and you've got everything all centralized around you. We need to avoid that entirely at all possible. We're not going to manage the nodes, we're not going to run the nodes. Anybody out there who wants to run a node is going to do that on their own behalf. When we're working with guys like ZenLayer, we're going to provide opportunities where we can say, hey, if you want an easy, the green light, the go button to make life simple for you, and you don't want to care necessarily where stuff is, or you need it in certain locations of the world, and we don't want to be reliant on traditional cloud providers. These guys are going to be an option within the network which say, hey, we've got the node code, we've got the infrastructure piece, we've got the file storage piece, it's integrated, it works together. Hit the easy button and get going. Join the network, be part of the game, take part. That's really, really important.
Yes, and one other kind of aspect of looking at the core of the question, which is why globally distributed, is will really help the internet consuming population understand the difference between, you know, an edge cloud, which is the term that Jen mentioned ago, and ultimately how we're going to market, versus the hyperscale public clouds that everyone's really familiar with, the massive AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Compute Engine Omni Cloud, for example. Whereas these businesses have a massive amount of scale, you know, multiple orders of magnitude higher than us, what we have not set out to do is compete against them, but rather partner with them and specifically deploy that cloud economics and that infrastructure in more individual metro edge markets, a greater global distribution of markets. And we specifically do this not only for some traditional gaming enterprise clients, but some blockchain use cases require very low latency in between the core of the network and the infrastructure that's in use and the validators for proof of stake blockchains, for example, so that they can exchange information very quickly. There's nothing, no technology out there that's going to supersede the speed of light. So globally distributing it is a really important part of democratizing blockchain, democratizing the internet.
Brilliant, very interesting conversation point. So a lot of the mining community and the kind of validator community will be super interested in scalability. How do you address that as a distributed network? In the goodness of globally distributing everything and everything running all at the same time, locally building it up so that we can scale within our region. That's how it feels.
So yeah, scaling that is very important, not only for blockchain, also for other kind of traditional service to enterprises as well. So this is what we actually address on Edge Cloud. So first of all, Edge Cloud is definitely what global distributed. For nowadays, I think we have over 20 sites. The more join together with our partners, we are also working with our partners. And in that case, we are expanding all the kind of resources available, thousands of top sites. In that case, so once ever the demands in one region, they can always pull it together, unify resources to satisfy this requirement. Beyond that one, kind of sharing, eventually we need to get kind of synchronization across the globe. So on top of that one, we also have backbone fabric to ensure all the communication will be reliable to distribute out. So this all things enable scaling and reliability.
Awesome, that sounds cool. Let's kind of look forward a little bit. So what does the future look for this kind of technology? Obviously you have capabilities today, pretty cool, it's easy, but what's next?
Also, like to hear from you what will be next from your level. Yeah. So what we think eventually is more like eventually more like the beginning of the computer and the internet. The information is distributed far distributed than today, and also the computing resources far distributed than today. The only thing today, the hyperscale data center come in, hyperscale cloud company, they offer more abundant compute, abundant network within their own data center. But down the road, there's more strong demand come in, the more democratic come in with the resources. I think the more push for those edge cloud, we push more those network as well to compute outside. When will that happen? That will definitely enable global kind of blockchain business as well. Will also enable those metaverse interactive transactions, interactive communications, and all new type of applications on top of that one.
That's cool. I mean, from the background that Nicole and I have in some of the industrial clients that we're going to be working with today, one of the biggest questions on their mind is the modality of where a thing gets stored, where the things get processed. And the traditional way is stick it on mainframe, stick it in a data center, put 4 walls around it and I can pull it on, give it a key and get out of the site. That has to change, and I think people are slowly recognizing that. These spaces, certainly the regulated spaces, are slow to change because there's paperwork associated with it, because there's process associated with it. need to open up opportunities. I think this is where we, as an ecosystem provider, need to try to find a way to provide options for these kind of clients, for these kind of operations, so that when they pitch up and say, hey, I like cloud, but I kind of need stuff right there. None of the cloud providers do that where I need it to be. But I don't have the level of control or security I'm looking for. I need options. What we want to do is find those options and provide them along with other capabilities as part of the blockchain, so we can deliver a more integrated solution. It's not just about this one specific feature. It's about the whole package, the whole delivery.
Yeah, so I think that as we are exploring partnerships and we're bringing different kind of partners, this group Zenlayer is a great opportunity to give options and choices for the people that are working with us. I was listening to a panel the other day, and they said, what is your favorite application that's in a Web3 application? And the person said, it hasn't even been dreamt of yet. And I think that's where everything is so new. And as a startup, it's new for us too. And we're looking at different partners and how they're doing things that we weren't typically thinking about. This is where Zenlayer comes in. We're like, this is a cool opportunity to have another option, right? And the world is, this Web3 world is immense. There's so many opportunities, like I said, and it's also new. It's really exciting times. And I think as they start to figure out, yes, they need something at the edge, right? They need something now here that they can do. This is where it makes sense.
People throw that term around edge all the time, and what it really means to me is just the ingress point on the network. But behind that ingress point is a myriad of different infrastructure providers. And Rich asked what the future is. Two things that really pop to mind, and not to blow too much smoke to our potential partners, but Prasaga and the ability for you guys to create a truly open source and accessible operating system that enables kind of a flat plane for a decentralized ecosystem to grow is definitely part of the future. To be able to give this technology out, which obviously costs a lot of time, money, and energy to create, is going to make it easier for other businesses to build. That, and the only other thing I would mention in terms of the future, it's not something that has anything to do with what Zenlayer develops, but anyone in technology has certainly heard a lot about container technology, which abstracts applications and processes from the machines, virtual or otherwise, on which they sit, and enables those applications and processes to move to a multi-cloud future. To AWS and Zenlayer, to Google, to Equinix Metal, to a long list of other infrastructure providers based upon where the users are and the proximity of the users to the core networks they're trying to access.
This is one of the things that I come to a realization maybe a few years back. A lot of the fundamental tenets of kind of technology adoption these days is people need it simple and it needs to be relatable. Otherwise, the adoption just never happens. Fundamentally, when you have a technology program, there are big industrials out there who've gone through this with SAP, gets the marketing system, and just becomes huge. And it just becomes a huge thing that takes many years to put in place. People get worn down by it. It takes a long time to implement these things. And when you want to change it, it becomes a major project. And nobody wants that again. There's a real risk that if blockchain and associated technologies are not done right, it can be the next SAP, and we have to avoid that at all costs. One of the things that we're trying to achieve here is if we can make it relatable, if we can make it logical in terms of the way our system looks and feels to people who want to go create stuff, create apps, create solutions, it's just going to make it easy for them to say, hey, I'm going to pick that because it just works. It does what I need it to do. If I want to go recreate a manufacturing line, and I have a hierarchy of stuff on the manufacturing line, parts, conveyor belts, systems, people, that's all part of the overall picture. If I can make that available and look like it does does on the real physical system, but on the chain. I just need to look at it, and as an operator, I don't need to be trained in what blockchain is. I just know that it matches what my process is, or how my governance model fits. That's how we drive adoption. And the way we as a blockchain will succeed is through adoption. So we need to try to find ways that we can drive that conversation with these customers to ensure that they understand that.
It's one thing I want to mention here. Definitely, it's more than just provide the infrastructure or as a service to blockchain. I think there's also opportunity to join in the way. Like today, we just learned Tesla has provide the objects management within the blockchain. We come from different world, from the infrastructure world. We also find that we need abstract different resources in the object as well, so better align with different needs. I think those kind of object abstracts would better down the road would probably align them further and provide coherent experience to all the applications, to all the new innovations applications.
I'm excited for the future here and the opportunities here. That there's clear alignment in the way we're talking about the technology. There's clear alignment in the way that we are relating to the customers who want to take this stuff on. This is the sort of alliance that we want to build in the ecosystem to make sure people are getting that together. This is the sort of structure we need to build. There we go then. I said I was going to keep this relatively aligned and short and sweet. I appreciate the time with you guys. Really quickly, if there are any questions in the audience, we'll take any questions. Otherwise, there's a bar that's looking pretty cool. We can get some drinks out. He's got on there.
So, as has come up several times, one of our pieces of the technology is that we're relatively green compared to, say, Bitcoin. We're still using proof of work, but we're scaling capacity with it. So as you put more energy in, you get more output. Now, one of the interesting things with computing is that heat, of course, is exponential. So the amount you have to cool for heat goes up exponentially, of course, on mining farms and things. Tend to be finding that problem as does the US. You're building out an edge system. Okay? How much of that, the more distributed it is, of course, on each individual site, the less air conditioning you need, actually. So, as an edge system, is there synergy? It sounds like there's synergy here between what we're trying to do, which is relatively green, and actually what you're doing actually has a green component to it. So I guess the question simply is, has that come up in your business model that you recognize that it's not just that you have edge computing everywhere, but by doing that, you actually consume essentially less air conditioning power?
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic that brings a better, bright future world. For the edge compute, that's another benefit that you mentioned about here. So, Flex Cloud. In the case of leverage the best technology, utilize the resources in an efficient way without huge amount of cooling system and go to it. Besides that, we are also working with our partners, infrastructure partner, chip vendors as well, to utilize green technology. Like, for example, we can optimize the CPU operations if it's low, and also collaborate up once you can have it low. At the same time, we also optimize those resource sharing in the case. So once we are sharing the network, sharing the system of the network storage resources as well, let's basically utilize better limited resource at the edge for better efficiency.
Just one other quick comment, not to disclaim responsibility, because as consumers of electricity, we're all ultimately responsible for our output. That said, there are some technologies, some cooling and efficiency technologies that we can employ or deploy at the level where, say, a Zenlayer or another cloud or edge cloud provider is operating. But the key to, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a massive usage from an environmental perspective, and even in Bitcoin, everyone's always talking about how it is, the overall usage is higher than, certain countries' entire usage. Well, it's not the power and the consumption of the electrons that's necessarily environmentally damaging, it's the source. And ultimately, I would raise my hand and pay a little bit more as long as the consumers are willing to pay a bit more for power that comes from utilities that ultimately is fed by renewable resources. So we as consumers should all be raising our hand and saying, if we were concerned about the environmental impact of power usage, it's not that we want to turn off the internet because of all that, or which ultimately supports blockchain, which is the source of everything we're doing. It's just that we want to have renewable energy that's going to power it all. So if we all stand up and say that's what we want as consumers, I think that the market will go in that direction.
Anybody else have that? I think it's awesome. Pretty good. Awesome. I appreciate the time, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.